Welcome to our weekly reading where we explore all things astrological. We hope you're doing really well and staying safe out there. From our two different points of view in two different locations in the world, we bring to you a unique astrological perspective on what is happening right now across the globe. So here we go. Hello, everybody. This is Diana and Cary speaking from Los Angeles and London. And we're checking in with this week's stars. There's been a lot going on, as always. The stars are always in constant motion. And so when they are in movement, they are making new aspects. They're making new aspects with each other, and they're also making new aspects with your chart. And that all gets very interesting and personal. We've just come out of the Sun trine Jupiter for this whole week, and it's still continuing. So we're still on this lift of positive forward motion. Things have been getting a little better. We're starting to get some traction and things are starting to move. Meanwhile, there are a lot of interesting aspects that are coming into fruition through the entire week with a kind of grand finale Friday and Saturday. Right, Cary?
It will be a very interesting week this week. 4 of the main planets are going to be in Gemini. The Sun goes into Gemini at the end of the week, so it's going to be a great week for communication. But also earlier on in the week, there's an aspect between Venus and Neptune. It's a square. It's an adverse aspect. So people are feeling a little bit uncomfortable at the moment, and they're not quite sure what's happening. And the Venus square Neptune is your ideals and your dreams, and Venus is your heart and how you feel. And it's a bit at odds at the moment, and that's quite understandable through what people are going through at the moment. But near the end of the week, as the Sun goes into Gemini and creates this mini stellium, which is 4 planets in the same sign, communication is going to come through, which is going to be extremely positive, which is going to help us move forward.
Right. So this Venus square Neptune is a little bit of insecurity, right? That's a good way to talk about it. Is not sure what's happening, like you said, and trying to figure it out. And is it time yet? It's like we're venturing out into the world a little bit. So it's a really powerful time. And all that stellium is in Gemini, so it's all about air signs, like you were saying, and really affects the air signs. It affects everyone, though, but wherever your air signs are in your chart. But also just those air signs are about communication and about going forward. So there's a lot of thrust, I feel, coming up. The exciting thing to me right now is the new moon, which is Friday, Saturday. That whole period. And to me, this is so important to remember because what I love the full moon, new moon pulses. Those are the times when we can kind of reorganize, and especially the new moon is what I call going backstage. Like you're behind the curtain. You can start to create for that whole next cycle to the full moon. And you can, if you meditate or do things that make you go internal, you can get sort of the glimmerings of what's coming. So it's a really powerful time to meditate.
It's going to be a very good time to meditate because it's not only about communication, it's about communicating to yourself inside. So having all these signs in Gemini will be really help that. Now, having the Sun and Moon together at the beginning of Gemini, anybody born at the beginning of Gemini will really feel this. And anybody born at the beginning of their air sign will feel this very, very strongly. And then also on the same day, you've got Mercury and Venus together in Gemini. So the planet of communication with the planet of love together in Gemini. People who are born between the 9th and the 12th of June, October and February are going to feel this transit hugely. So this is a wonderful week for communicating outside, communicating inside, and realizing that some of the feelings you're feeling with this Venus square Neptune earlier on in the week will subside, and there'll be a lot more positive outcomes going forward.
So this could be a week of good news getting. You might get something in the mail. You might hear something on the news. You might be hearing from a friend or somebody you haven't heard from for a long time, or an old partner, or a love in your life. There's some new energies and communications that are happening. So by the end of this week, you might be hearing some good news. And I think that's nice to look forward to. And the other thing that is beautiful in this chart is Saturn is trining the new moon. So to me, that means those plans that we are laying now are going to come into fruition over this month. This is a good time to think about, what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? To start writing it down, making an outline, making a plan for yourself so that you can start to use these energies in a constructive way to improve your life.
That's right. And that transit of Saturn is very important because that's the start of a 7-year period. So for a lot of people, again, at the beginning of the air signs, are going to be feeling that this is the start of a new period for themselves, and they will feel that a lot more strongly than people in other signs with other elements. So this is the beginning of something quite wonderful going forward with regards to open communication, as you say, good news coming through, people communing externally, people communing internally. People are going to start seeing people more often as the restrictions are lifted. So it's a really good time. It's a good time for decision making as well. And I might as well just throw it in that our leaders, both in America and in the UK, are both Geminis. So this is a really good time for them to get it right. So listening to their people, communication.
Yeah, I think we're going to feel a little bit better. And there's again some new relief again. Even though there's this uncertainty, as we spoke of in the beginning, there is a feeling of like, how do we come out and when to come out, and is this right or should we wait? All of these things are still going to be there. But all in all, there's definitely a thrust forward towards better communications, better relations, more connections in hundreds of ways, from a Zoom video like this, or talking to your mom, or even seeing her perhaps now. So we're starting to come out. And so that feels really good for us, and it's good news. And this is part of our good news this week, for the week of good news, I'm calling it. And we'll see you next week for an update of the stars.